Okay, yay. Good evening, YouTube. It is Tuesday, the 6th or 7th of April, and I wonder again with the, I notice sometimes with my videos, they're really, like, my face is like ghastly white. I'm a very pale person. That is a fact. This camera sucks, and I have bright light. I guess these things add up. It's okay. Today's video is going to be about waiting versus taking action, which I think is similar to the video I made last couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before, about big changes. But today I got to a long drawn out discussion with my colleague about this, and it brought a lot of things to the forefront of my brain. One of which is, why did I wait so damn long to make such good big changes in my life? Because now that they're done, I can't believe I waited so long. I'm disappointed in myself. I feel like I've wasted a lot of years that I could have been enjoying my life, or could have been living my life differently and better, but I spent it kind of under a gray cloud, and I wonder why I did that. It reminds me of when I was about 19 or 20. I worked in downtown Toronto with some funky people. I had a pretty cool government job at the time, contract of course, but I mean, I thought I was all that. I used to carry a briefcase to work, and I loved the job. And I worked with a funky girl who was probably about 23 or 24. She wasn't that old, but I remember she was young and funky and cool, and I liked her a lot, and we were good friends. And she was married to a man that she absolutely hated. I've never in my life, before or since, met someone who hated their spouse as much as this woman hated her spouse. And I remember she would talk about him with complete disdain. We'd take the subway together, and she would just say, "Oh, I can't even believe I married him. I don't know what I was thinking and what the hell to do about it." And we were very young, and young people tend to make positive changes a lot easier than I think older people do. I think when you're in your 20s, it's easier to just dump a boyfriend and move on. Then, if you're 40 and you've been with someone for 20 years and you have a house together or kids or the dog or whatever, I mean, it's harder to split relationships, split stuff. It's harder to make changes the older you get. That's not true for everybody, of course, but I think that's true for under a lot of circumstances. And of course, for me, at that time, I was young and making crazy changes in my life all the time. As a small aside to that story, it was very soon after that job in Toronto that I gave away everything I owned, quit that job, and moved to the Canadian Arctic. So I was a prime example of, had enough, move along. And anyway, I remember those days on the subway with Andrea, and talking about how much she hated her husband and wondering why she didn't leave him. And then years later, found out she did leave him, and she was so happy, and she had a baby and moved on, and things were good for her. But I mean, at the time, I remember wondering, what the heck? And I also come from a family that does not make changes very easily. My father lives in the house he was pretty much born in. My father was 6 months old when he moved into that house, and he turned 69 2 days ago. So do the math. My father's never moved. My mother's lived in that house for 40 plus years, and my sister's lived in the neighborhood her whole life. So the fact that I even left the neighborhood was quite drastic. Slightly. Anyway, and I'm not just talking about physical moves. I'm talking about quitting jobs, breaking up with boyfriends, all sorts of things that you should have done, and you wonder why you didn't do them. And who knows? I mean, who knows what keeps us stagnant? Today at work, when I was talking to that guy, I said, he was giving me an earful. He's full of I told you so's. And one thing he was saying was, well, I told you years ago you should have left that neighborhood, and I don't know why you never did. And I had, years ago, I remember having a conversation with him. The thing is, I'm a bit of a tree-hugging hippie green spirit, and I believe that the way you make urban centers livable is that you live in them and that you be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So if you live in a neighborhood with problems, you become the solution to those problems. So I live in a neighborhood full of, low-income, mentally ill people. I wasn't low-income, and I wasn't mentally ill, so I was sort of classing the joint up, right? And I said that to my next-door neighbors, Natasha and Scott, when they moved in. I remember saying, you guys are, classing up the neighborhood, so to speak. And we used to joke about that and say that that's how you make a neighborhood livable, is by living in it. And of course, as time went on and I realized it was unlivable for me at that time, and under these circumstances, I moved along. But it was that theory, that was that concept that kept me there for years. And I think back to the kind of person I used to be when I was with my ex-boyfriend. Same idea. When I was raised Catholic, which not that I am, but I mean, I was raised with this mentality. When you say forever, you mean forever. Marriage, although I wasn't legally married to the guy, in my mind I was married to him. We were common law. And when you make a commitment to be with someone, you're with them no matter what, no matter how bad it gets. Like, no matter how bad it gets. That's what commitment is. So, you know, things got really, really bad, and I still stuck it out because that's just what you do. And you know, you don't just leave someone because the chips are down. And eventually I realized, yeah, actually, you do leave someone when the chips are down, and you do leave the neighborhood when it gets that bad, and it's okay, and it doesn't make you a bad person. But, you know, years later of wondering why you wasted so much time. So as I drove home tonight, I took a different route home, and it was so beautiful. I'm astounded. I can't believe how beautiful this place is. I can't believe how homey my home is. I can't believe how much I love everything, everybody. I'm in perfectly high spirits. It's a gray, kind of rainy day. I'm out of gas. I'm kind of broke. I'm annoyed about the movers ripping me off, and I looked at my bank account, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I bought a $25 antenna for the TV, so I don't know if you can see this, but I've got the TV going with this shitty antenna, so I can watch at least one channel of TV. Not that I watch a lot of TV. I tend to watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of shows like, you know, BBC online. I stream a lot of video. But, and I've got my country radio station that goes all the time because I'm close enough to Buffalo that I get that station. And, yeah, just in love with the changes, and in love with the idea that it's that easy. It is that easy. You just do it. It's hard to do it. It's hard to take the step, the leap of faith. But once you take that leap, it's worth it. So, wanted to share those ideas. I haven't said this before, but I will. If you're watching my videos, please leave comments. Please leave YouTube video responses. I love stuff like that. There's one guy from Dunville. Shout out to you, buddy. I forget your username, but a guy from Dunville's been watching my videos, so hello. And yeah, welcome to any of my viewers, and I'd love to find out who you are and what you think and why you watch. And I'll just give you a little shot of Eli. Eli parked at his window, which is what he does. And that's it for me. Have a great night.